at the top number, like the little girl that needed the Barbie doll, and she got her $50, instead of starting at the top number, start at the bottom number. This is what my method's all about. Know how much you need. Take that number. Say you need $50,000 to come out of your business, which might have been called profit, in order to get a subtotal, pay yourself the 50, and maybe you don't have any profit, so to speak, but you paid yourself 50 so that you now have enough money to live the way you want to live. You've paid all your bills in your business. So here's what you do. Instead of starting at the top with your sales number, let's start at the bottom with how much you need to pull out for yourself. And for this example, I'm going to give you $50,000 is what you need. Now, in your business, let's say that you have another $50,000 of expenses called overheads. The G&A is another word that in accounting they use, general and administrative. The variable expenses, the ones that are not the direct expenses, rent, telephone, utilities, contracts, car payments, things of that nature. Loan payments, not contracts, is what I meant to say. If you take that number of your overhead and add your overhead to what you need for yourself, and I'm giving you in this example $50,000 for yourself and $50,000 to pay all your bills each month. They hover average a little over $4,000 a month, $12,000, $50,000 a year for 12 months. You need $100,000. Now, if you're driving in your car and you're traveling, which I know a lot of people that listen to the show listen to me while they're traveling, don't close your eyes, but just picture this. If you look at sales less cost equals gross profit less overhead equals the normal net profit, and you flip it upside down and say, if my net profit is going to be $50,000 ultimately that I'm going to pay to myself, or you pay it before the profit so your profit zeroes out because you've got your 50, it's the same thing, and you add that to your overhead to get to 100, then that gross profit number that I call the target goal, you can get to it from the bottom and say, I need to have a gross profit of $100,000 in order to pay myself 50 and pay all my overheads. Period. Now I'm going to stop for just a second. It's taken me 3 weeks of teaching this seminar, this series, to get to that point. That is the secret to everything I'm trying to pass on to you. Instead of being like a general store in 1872, and I'm going to call it Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the West. That's where Jim Stovall lives, and I'm hoping to go there and visit him in the next couple of weeks. The days of the Wild West and having a general dry goods store where you open up your doors, you hang your shingle, and people just come in and buy from you constantly, it's not that easy anymore because you're not the only store in town that sells those dry goods anymore. The internet and delivery with free shipping and Amazon and FedEx and everything else, it makes it harder and harder and harder if you sell a product that anybody else is selling to capture their business. In the next couple of weeks, we'll do part 4, and we'll talk about marketing and sales extensively. But right now, if you open up your store, you hang your shingle is what they used to call it, open up your doors, and you wait for business. And all day long, you were just slamming. You were hitting that cash register. That cash register is singing. And you come home at night, and your kids and your wife, they say, how'd we do today? And you say, I never had a break. I never got to take lunch. We did incredible today. If that's the way you're operating your business, that is great. That's how you want to be. You want to be having that cash register sing and play music. But let me tell you something. if you're doing that and you don't control your cost or know what your costs are, you could be hitting your sales goal and go out of business. I got to take a breather on this one for a second. I want to let it sink in. What I just told you is you could be in business and be just jamming, slamming your sales. If your goal is to do $200,000 in sales a year and you're doing $25,000 this month, you're going to be well over your sales goal. You're going to be way over your sales goal. But if your cost of what it's costing you to make those sales is not on your budget, it's way higher than what it should be, you might be rejoicing because you're making so many sales, but at the end of the day, when you catch up your books and your accountant looks at it and you realize, ask yourself the question, why didn't we make money? What happened? I thought we were doing great. That, my friends, is the biggest downfall in small business, is to think that you're doing well when you're really losing money. I'm going to give you a real simple example, then I'm going to give you a very detailed example of what I'm trying to say. If you are selling something and your costs are higher than what they should be, hey, in some cases you might not even know what your costs are. You might be like the little girl with the Barbie doll. She thought that sales number, when she sold 5 dolls for $10 each and made $50, she thought she was ready to go to the store and buy that doll. Well, the profit on that particular Barbie doll was only the gross profit, not counting anything else in the simple example. It cost $6 for every cake. So she only made $4. Her parents had to shell out $6. They might have gone to Costco, they might have gone to a bakery, they might have just bought the cakes and resold them, or the mother might have made all the ingredients, and by the time she put all the stuff into it, she knew that it cost $6 a cake. They only made $4 a cake, but the little girl thought that she made $10 a cake. So if you go blind into your business and you're selling things and you don't know what it costs you, it's only a matter of time before it's going to catch up with you. Now, if you go into your business, though, and you know that you need a gross profit, a target goal of X dollars, in the example that I'm building today, $100,000, so you can make the $50,000 to support your lifestyle and the $50,000 to cover all your overheads, then you can calculate how much in sales you need to do if your cost of those sales is a certain percentage of every dollar you sell. You know it's going to cost you a certain amount of cost. In the Barbie doll example, if you sell the cake for $10 and your cost is $6, then you have a cost of 60%. So let's just make this easy. Let's say that in my example of your own small business and you need $100,000 gross profit, let's just say that you know in your business, because of statistics and research and other things that you've been able to get information and good valid data, you've gone to the Small Business Development Center and their counselors have helped you figure out what your costs should be, what the norms are in your industry, in your geographical area. And you learn that your cost is 50% of sales. What that means is this. If you sell a product for $1, that 50 cents out of every dollar, 50% of that dollar is going to be part of your direct costs that need to be subtracted from your sales to get to your gross profit. It's a little technical, but I'm trying to keep it to where we can follow it. So if you need $100,000 to cover your overhead and to guarantee yourself that you're going to be able to pay your salary, your own money that you need, and I tell you that in your business, your direct costs are going to be 50%. Then if you know how to do the algebra, how to do the math, if you do $200,000 in sales at 50% direct costs, your direct cost, 50% of 200,000 is 100,000, and that's the number that you need if you hit your goal, your target goal, your gross profit of $100,000. You can pay the $50,000 of all your overheads, and you can take out the 50, and you win. You succeed. Your budget comes out exactly the way that it needed to be. Now, if you are selling your product and you need $100,000, and you know that you have to be within 50% of your cost in order to sell at $200,000, so now you know your sales goal that I backed you into. So remember what I said. Instead of looking at it from the top saying, if we do this much sales, and this is our cost, this is our gross profit, we pay our overheads, we take what's left, let's get more aggressive than that. Let's not take what's left and not have enough to pay our own bills. Let's say, I need to have this much in a gross profit in order to pay all my overheads, which I know exactly how much they are. And then I will take out exactly how much I know I need that I budgeted for myself. And my cost needs to be within this percentage. So therefore, my sales have to be $200,000. You are guaranteed to succeed if you do the following things. If you keep your overheads on budget, do not go over your budget on your overheads. Pay attention to your budget. Don't spend anything you don't need. It's not in your budget. If you keep your cost percentage for everything you produce in line, then you will be able to know exactly the amount of sales that you need. And if you hit your sales goal, you are guaranteed success. It's just straight math. If you hit your sales, stay within the cost that you need at 2%, stay within the overhead budget, you'll have the money you need to pay yourself, and you will be successful in your business. But what if your direct costs go over budget? Well, if you need a 50% direct cost in the example that I gave you to cover your $100,000 of overhead plus your own money, and instead of doing 50%, your costs are really 60%. Whatever it is you're doing, you're not doing right. You're not buying them efficiently. You have too much waste. There's pilferage. There's different things. If you come in at 60% of $200,000, then your costs under this example are going to be $120,000, and your gross profit is only going to be $80,000. You're going to be $20,000 short, and your personal draw of the $50,000 that you need to pay all your own bills is only going to be $30,000. That's the math. That's the math. So what's the best way to succeed is to have a budget, have a plan, stay on it, and make sure that you manage. Make sure that you manage your business to stay on your budget. Now we've taken your budget and we've broken it into a couple categories. We've broken it into 1, your overhead budget, 2, your direct cost percentage, which becomes a budget number, and 3, your sales goals in your budget. So now we can sort of divide and conquer. It's like a military strategy. So now we're going to break it down and get really detailed. Remember this, and we're going to get deep into this next time. If you do not make the right sales number, you may need to increase your price. If you can, be careful, or you may need to market and advertise more. But remember this, if you spend money on marketing and advertising dollars and it doesn't increase your sales, then your overheads are higher and you're going to lose even more money. So never forget,